Rolls-Royce, a name that defines luxury, power, and prestige. A car that even billionaires dream of owning. But few people know that this symbol of wealth was born out of poverty, pain, and perseverance. Let's go back to where it all began. To a boy who had nothing but built everything. The beginning of Henry Royce, the year was 1863. A small village in England witnessed the birth of Henry Royce, a boy whose childhood was filled not with toys, but with struggle. When Royce was just 4 years old, his father's business collapsed. The family lost everything. They were on the streets. And at just 9 years old, Henry lost his father forever. His mother worked as a maid to feed the family, while young Henry delivered newspapers to survive. Darkness surrounded him, but he never gave up. And then, at 14, destiny gave him a chance. His aunt saw something special in Henry. She helped him join the Great Northern Railway Company as an apprentice. There, Henry didn't just work, he learned carpentry, mechanics, mathematics, and most importantly, electronics. By the age of 17, he became a skilled mechanic. At 21, he was working as an engineer at Maxim Western, but the company soon fell apart due to financial problems. He had two choices, take another job or take a risk. And Henry chose the second one. With only $20 in savings, he started his own small company in Manchester, F.H. Royce & Company, along with his friend Ernest Claremont. They began repairing sewing machines and doing electrical fittings. But Henry saw the future in electric lighting. He started manufacturing arc lamps, bulb holders, and doorbells. Within a few years, the business exploded. By 1900, sales crossed $20,000, an unimaginable number back then. Henry Royce had built a fortune from nothing. But fate had other plans. In 1901, German and American companies entered the British market. Prices crashed, competition rose, and Royce's business collapsed. He fell sick, both physically and mentally. When he saw a doctor, he was told one simple thing. You need fresh air. The doctor advised him to buy a car and travel more. So, Royce took a break and bought a French car named Decoville. But this car was noisy, unreliable, and overheated constantly. Royce couldn't tolerate imperfection, so he decided to fix it. He didn't just modify it, he rebuilt it. And the result was stunning. His redesigned car was smoother, quieter, and far better than the original. That one car sparked an idea that would change history. If he could build a better car, why not build his own? When Rolls met Royce, Royce began designing his first model, a 10-horsepower two-cylinder car that was silent, durable, and reliable. On April 1, 1904, the car was tested on the road and ran 50 kilometers without a single fault. Soon, Royce built two more. And when he showcased them in an exhibition, destiny arrived. A young automobile enthusiast named Charles Rolls saw the cars. Rolls was already running a luxury car business, but he wanted something truly extraordinary, a car that defined excellence. After meeting Henry Royce, Rolls was blown away. He said to his partner, I have found the world's greatest engineer. The two men decided to join hands. And thus, in 1906, was born the legendary brand, Rolls-Royce Limited. The birth of the Silver Ghost, they launched multiple models, 10, 15, 20, and 30 horsepower. But in late 1906, they unveiled something special, a 40-50 horsepower, 6-cylinder car that was so smooth and silent, it felt like a ghost gliding on the road. They called it the Silver Ghost. To prove its reliability, they drove it 24,000 kilometers non-stop, day and night, for 2.5 months. The car passed every test with perfection. To demonstrate its smoothness, they performed the famous whisper test, balancing a coin on the bonnet while the engine ran. The coin didn't fall. The world was shocked. The Silver Ghost became a global sensation, a car fit for kings, queens, and the world's elite. Rolls-Royce was now the best car company in the world. Tragedy strikes, but just as they reached the top, tragedy struck. Charles Rolls, passionate about aviation, died in a plane crash in 1910, becoming the first Briton to die in an air accident. Henry Royce was devastated, and in 1911 he was diagnosed with bowel cancer. Doctors gave him only 3 months to live, but the fighter in him refused to quit. He recovered miraculously and returned to work with even more determination. He improved the Silver Ghost, raising its suspension, strengthening the chassis, and designing a mascot that would become iconic, the Spirit of Ecstasy, a symbol of grace, freedom, and speed. The war that changed everything. By 1913, Rolls-Royce was highly profitable. But then came World War I. Luxury cars were no longer in demand. Factories shut down and the company faced collapse. But Henry Royce turned crisis into opportunity. He modified the Silver Ghost into a military armored car, adding armor plating and machine guns. These vehicles served in the harsh deserts of the Middle East and even acted as ambulances, saving thousands of lives. Working with the military, Royce realized something. Britain relied heavily on foreign engines for its aircraft. He decided to change that. In 1915, Rolls-Royce built its first aero engine, the Eagle. It was more powerful, efficient, and reliable than any other. By the end of the year, 500 engines were ordered. Then came the Hawk, Falcon, and Condor engines, each one playing a vital role in Britain's air dominance during the war. When the war ended, Rolls-Royce wasn't just a car brand anymore. It had become a symbol of British engineering excellence. The legacy lives on. In the years that followed, Rolls-Royce launched the Phantom, acquired Bentley, and continued to define luxury and power. But in 1933, at the age of 70, Sir Henry Royce, the man who built an empire from poverty, passed away. Since then, Rolls-Royce has faced many ups and downs, financial crises, ownership changes, and competition. But one thing has never changed: its legacy. Today, Rolls-Royce is owned by BMW, but every car still carries the spirit of Henry Royce, the pursuit of perfection. Because Rolls-Royce was never just a car. It was, and still is, a masterpiece born from hardship. A story of how one man turned struggle into strength and created a brand that became the ultimate symbol of excellence. So next time you see a Rolls-Royce glide silently down the road, remember, behind that silence lies the roar of determination. The vision of a man who refused to give up and turned perfection into motion. If you love stories of innovation and legacy, don't forget to subscribe, because this is just the beginning.